Nigeria's president has now signed the amended Electoral Act into law. Electronic transmission is in, fallback provisions are in. The legal framework, at least on paper, is settled. And yet, the debate over real-time electronic transmission of election results in 2027 has not stopped. So here's the real question. If every server works during the 2027 elections, if every device powers on, if every polling unit uploads successfully, does that automatically guarantee a credible election? Many people assume yes, but elections do not fail only when technology fails. Sometimes everything works and trust still collapses. So this week, we are stress testing 2027. If transmission works perfectly, does that guarantee credibility? What could still derail the outcome? Stay with me. With the amended Electoral Act now signed, Nigeria has clearer legal backing for electronic transmission of election results while retaining the Form EC8A as a fallback. That closes one chapter, but it opens another. Because even with the law settled, key questions remain. How will fallback provisions be interpreted? What happens when manual and electronic records diverge? How prepared are institutions beyond the technology itself? The debate over real-time transmission continues, but here's the deeper point. Transmission is one stage in a much longer chain, and elections are not a single event. They are a sequence from voter registration to accreditation to voting to counting to collation to declaration and litigation. If one link weakens, the entire chain strains, even if the servers never blinked. So, beyond electronic transmission, let's look at what Nigerians may not be paying enough attention to right now. First is the voter turnout question. In 2023, Nigeria recorded roughly 28.63% voter turnout, the lowest since the return of multi-party democracy in 1999. That is not a server problem. That is a confidence problem. If turnout remains low in 2027, especially among young voters, legitimacy debates will begin before the first result is announced. Because credible elections are not just about counting votes correctly. They are about whether citizens believe it is worth voting at all. An election can be technically clean and still socially fragile. That is vulnerability number one. In the second place is security and access. Technology cannot count votes that were never cast. Parts of Nigeria continue to face insecurity, including insurgency, banditry, communal violence, and political intimidation. If certain communities cannot vote freely or safely, the credibility conversation shifts immediately, not because of upload failure, but because of access failure. Even isolated disruptions like late opening of polling units, ballot snatching, and voter suppression can affect margins in tightly contested races. And in highly polarized environments, perception spreads faster than correction. If regions feel excluded, trust erodes even if the uploaded results are accurate. After that, let's talk about something less dramatic but equally critical: collation. Results are born at polling units, but they are aggregated at ward, local government, state, and national collation centers. Those collation centers are high-pressure environments, long hours, political agents, security presence, crowd tension, and time constraints. If disputes erupt at collation centers over figures, procedures, or interpretation, the narrative can shift quickly from who won to what happened inside that room. Even when technology works, credibility requires not just accurate uploads, but transparent aggregation. Next is legal interpretation and courtroom politics. The amended Electoral Act provides clarity on transmission, but no law eliminates disputes. When fallback provisions exist, interpretation becomes inevitable. If uploaded results and manually collated forms conflict in even a few high-stakes locations, litigation follows. And once elections move from polling units to courtrooms, timelines stretch, narratives harden, and public patience thins. An election can be legally upheld and still socially questioned. Clarity before 2027 stabilizes the system. Clarity after 2027 becomes damage control. Then there is information warfare. Now, here's the vulnerability few policymakers openly discuss: disinformation. By 2027, Nigeria's digital ecosystem will be even more intense than it currently is. There will be AI-generated visuals, edited research sheets, manipulated screenshots, and false breaking news. Even if INEC's infrastructure functions perfectly, the battle over perception could overwhelm the facts. If a false narrative trends for hours before correction, public doubt can harden. Transmission integrity does not automatically equal narrative integrity. And in modern elections, perception is power. Ultimately, elections are not only about systems, they are about referees. INEC can upgrade technology, but public confidence depends on consistency, clarity of communication, transparency during disruptions, and speed of response when confusion arises. If communication gaps reappear, as many observers argued happened in 2023, suspicion will fill the silence. And in elections, silence is expensive. Technology can reduce operational risk. Only trust reduces legitimacy risk. So let's return to the opening question. If every server works during the 2027 election, does that guarantee credibility? The answer is no. Because credibility is not a software feature. It is built from participation, security, clear legal interpretation, transparent collation, strong institutional communication, and public trust. Technology is a tool. Trust is the foundation. The president has signed the law. The transmission debate continues, but 2027 will not be decided by one clause in the Electoral Act. It will be shaped by how resilient the entire system is under pressure. Structural weaknesses are easier to fix before election day. Once voting begins, systems operate under stress. If Nigeria wants 2027 to be less contested than 2023, the national conversation must expand. So, the real debate should not be manual or electronic transmission. The better debate is what makes an election resilient. If this episode challenged your assumptions, share it, especially with someone who thinks election credibility is only about electronic transmission of results. Because in 2027, the real test may not be the servers, it may be the entire system. I'm Adejuwon Soyinka. This is the Insight Vodcast, where we go beyond the headlines.